anytime there was any sort of dump off or scramble for fields, or they identified run, they
like
and he wasn't
everywhere.
the game last. You know what I noticed? That was another thing I wanted to point out. And we'll get back into the defense overall here in a second. And if you have thoughts, text us or call us on the HRP listener line 713-780-3776. But when you because there was a couple times where I'd rewind and just kind of watch Stingley, see what he looked like in coverage. And look, I don't want to put Stingley Island on him. I don't want to make comparisons to other great cornerbacks, but you could tell it's just like, look, the Steelers don't have the best wide receiver crew in the league for sure.
Mhm.
We'll see if they end up getting Brandon Ayuk. I mean, George Pickens is okay, but overall, their wide receiver group's not elite, especially after losing Deontay Johnson. But in the snaps last night that Derek Stingley had, I mean, Derek Stingley is with whoever he's guarding step for step. There was never a moment where he looked like, okay, this guy's about to shake him. It seemed like he was perfectly set up in his technique, like from his film study, he knew what the guy was going to try to do to him, and he was stride for stride every step the wide receivers took when he was in coverage.
And you think about someone like Stingley who's been dealing with injuries. Obviously, missed the first part of last season with injuries. I wonder how much of that's just confidence of
It could be.
having a full healthy offseason under your belt and being able to not only stay healthy and you're not rehabbing, you're getting better. And I wonder if not only is he getting better, but he also knows that he's getting better
Yeah.
from a guy who was already pretty good his second year in the league.
It's pretty quick how that whole Sauce Gardner should have drafted him talk has
Yeah,
faded out
It's
of the
gone.
picture. Yeah.
At least for me,
I
I'll say it's gone.
I think it's a situation where if you take Sauce over Stingley, you are saying it's because Stingley missed time his first 2 years in the league, or year and a half really in the league. Where I think if Stingley puts a season of 16 game season under his belt, stays healthy, is out there for all the games, I think that takes that argument away from him, and we could be talking about Stingley was the right choice.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be some of the the talking head shows. Like if Stingley has the type of season that we think he's capable of having, the type of season he had the second half of last year when he came back from I think it was the hamstring injury that
Yeah.
delayed his start to the 2023 season. There are going to be people on talking head shows that will have that conversation. I don't know if the national media is there yet because Sauce is such a big star and he
Yeah.
had such a great
New
rookie
York.
season.
Yeah.
But I mean, Stingley had 5 interceptions last year. Obviously, I mean, I don't think he's gonna. And John Harris pointed this out in the broadcast. I don't think Stingley gets to 5 interceptions again, or even has a chance to top that because
The ball's not going to go his way.
exactly that was my thought coming out of the game from Stingley is like when you factor in how good he looks and then how many question marks we have on the other guys in the secondary, especially with that second corner spot. I mean, we'll see with Kamari Lassiter. Obviously, the reviews on him have been pretty glowing so far. But even if Kamari Lassiter is good, he's still a rookie. Teams just aren't going to throw at Derek Stingley. So I mean, I do dread though the conversations or people calling like, oh, Derek Stingley only has 1 interceptions this year. Terrible. Like because they're not going to throw to him.
It's, I feel like secondary stats can be very misleading because it was like 2 years ago. It was like, oh, Jalen Petrie led the league in tackles. That's not good if
That's
it's a
not good.
safety.
Yeah,
Like
right. For a safety, yeah.
that's really not good at all. So just because you're your leading cornerback doesn't have 5 or 6 interceptions, having 1 or 2 could arguably be even better because that means you know that nobody is throwing his direction.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, I mean, just quickly wrap up the thoughts on the defense before we go to the offensive side. Texans last year finished 11th in points allowed, and I had this conversation with the Killer Bees a few weeks ago. My cash it or trash it was I thought the Texans were going to finish top 5 in points allowed. I, I I thought at the time that was a little bit of a spicy take, but look, again, obviously, grain of salt. It's two quarters against the Steelers, but not even ignoring the fact that it was two quarters against Steelers, just looking at how well particular guys played with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson and Derek Stingley. Aziz Al-Shir looked extremely quick and instinctive. I think that's legit. I wouldn't say I'd be disappointed like if they had the sixth scoring defense, but my expectation I think is now firmly moved into the I expect them to be a top 5 defense this year as far as points allowed. Fair?
It's tough because of the schedule they're gonna have to play.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my only
Mahomes,
that
the Dolphins, and the Ravens.
that's my only
Burrow.
pushback. They also get the Bills, who
Bills.
we'll see. The Jets, we'll see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that can be very good. I think definitely the first part of the season when they're playing the Bears, the Commanders, the Vikings, they're going to give those guys a tough time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. Though they're going to give the rookie quarterbacks, or if it's Sam Darnold and whoever else they're trotting out there to start 2 games before going to the rookie, I think those guys are going to have a tough time against the Texans. The more elite quarterbacks that they play later in the season, that's where I just want to see a little bit more than, like you said, a quarter and a half, 2 quarters against Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty fair.
But your take does look better than it did on Thursday or whenever.
Yeah. Let's get over to the offense quickly before we take our break here. Obviously, the offense also only in the field for 2 drives, and the first one was pretty quick. I think it was a 3 and out. They certainly didn't move the ball much, even if they got a first down. I don't remember if they technically did or not, but they come out for that second drive. It was another quick series. I believe it was only a 3-play scoring drive before C.J. Stroud hits Tank Dell on the touchdown. But just specifically looking at that C.J. to Tank touchdown throw, one, I mean, you're glad just to see Tank on the field with all that he went through this offseason, to see him look healthy and hopefully not blocking around the goal line. But on that throw itself, because there was a couple moments, like there was a play where CJ like rolled out and got pressured and had to throw the ball away. There was a couple moments early where they looked a little rusty. The running game wasn't good, but on that pass from CJ to Tank, the anticipation CJ showed, and you see the replay from behind the quarterback, the hole that he had to fit that into, the window in the zone was extremely small. And then obviously Tank, for a guy that's what 5'9", $160 to break multiple tackles and kind of bulldoze his way into the end zone. Just an incredible play, and has me completely hyped up that this offense, despite hearing how bad it's been during training camps, like that's just because they're facing the Texas defense. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. That definitely, again, that point has a little bit more credence now that we see them against another team, or at least that first team defense against another team. I get, because we did see him in the Hall of Fame game, but whatever. It's the Hall of Fame game. Tank Dell, man, Tank Dell's awesome. That's not really a blazing hot take, but just seeing him back out there, it really puts in perspective what the Texans lost last year when he went down with that injury, and of course that last year's team had way less firepower than this year's team looks like it's going to have. So I think it really puts into context what was really going on, not just last year, but also what we have to look forward to this year with, I mean, with these 3 wide receivers. It's a very surface level take that
who has a better wide receiver trio in the league?
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about that. We were talking about that yesterday. The only cases for better receiving core, because Tank Dell was talking about it on a podcast, are the guys where it's, well, I'd take the top 2 over the 2.
Yeah, but, like a Tyreek and Waddle, or Chase and
Higgins.
Yeah, Smith and Brown for the Eagles. Yeah, that Cooper Kupp and Nakua was one that we forgot about.
Well, yeah, now Nakua's dealing with the high ankle sprain, so we'll see.
But yeah, when you take them as a 3-man unit, there's really I don't know if there's a team that stacks up to them.
But I feel like you could even rotate one of them out, and they would still be
They'd still be up
Yeah,
there.
you
They'd
can
still be
eliminate.
on-
Well,
they-
let's just eliminate Diggs from it. I would still feel fine putting Nico and Tank. They wouldn't be. They probably wouldn't be top 5 at that point.
Yeah, they'd
because
be
of all the names we've just
in
mentioned.
the like 5 to 10 range.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They'd be 5 to 10 range. I mean, it'd still be. It'd be take any 2 of those, and they would fit right into the top 5 to 10
Yeah.
easily. And then you factor in, you got another one
Yeah, got
that's just as good. So, all right, we got plenty more Texans conversation. We'll hold it over to the other side of the break. We want to talk about one more thing on Tank Dell with his usage, and then maybe we'll get into some of the other things we saw last night in Texans versus Steelers. Astros coming up in the 12:30 segment, and in the second hour, we will, of course, have our big question and Mount Rushmore +1 at 1:30. But don't go anywhere. Talking more Texans Steelers when we get back on the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. If you want to give any thoughts on what you saw from Texans Steelers last night, give us a text or a call at 713-780-3776. Got a comment on the text line that I'll read here in a moment, but I want to take a second to congratulate John and Lance for getting nominated and eventually inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. I don't know when that. Do you know when that ceremony is? I know it's in like 2-3 hours away. It's a little bit of a drive.
November.
Is it November?
I believe in Kilgore, Texas.
Kilgore, Texas. That sounds right. But
well deserved.
Well deserved.
shout to the
I'll just
903.
speak for myself because I think the other guys with me on the show weren't alive when John and Lance started the radio career, or if they were very, very young. But John and Lance, starting with sports radio. Well, I almost gave out the full thing. I'll just say the Texans flagship. That's kind of the more radio PC way to do things, not to name out your competitor. But John and Lance on the Texans flagship, along with Jim Rome back in the day, are what really got me into sports radio. I have fond memories driving around the car when I was cleaning pools as a teenager, listening to John Lance in the morning, getting me through the day. Just absolutely sounded when you turned them on, it completely sounded different than anything else I'd heard from sports radio. It was I hate to use the term ahead of its time because it's so cliche, but it was so different and so unique, and obviously the staying power starting off in 1997, still here today. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for John Lance. Like I said, but John Lance, Jim Rome, they were completely different than anything I had heard in sports radio before then. Got me to love it, and congratulations, well deserved for them getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I second everything that you said.
Except for listening to them in 1997.
Yes, except for that part. I don't know. Maybe my dad was.
Maybe your dad was.
Yeah, maybe I was in the car seat. But when I was in college, in Austin, I was itching for some Houston sports talk in my life, and when I was itching for it, I would listen to the John Lance, The Bench back in the day.
Right.
Real ones know The Bench.
Yeah.
And I would listen to their podcast, and as I was walking to class to be a broadcast professional, I was listening to those guys basically break all the rules that they're telling us in that class. And so to, intern here, eventually work with them, and now, rightfully so, they're Hall of Famers. Congratulations.
Yeah, well deserved. Well deserved. All right, let's get back into the Texans. So we mentioned Tank Dell with the receiving touchdown in last night's game in one of the two series they had before the starters were pulled. One of the other ways Tank Dell was used last night, I think, is going to have a few people wringing their hands, pearl clutching, whatever term you want to use, because Tank Dell was then as a punt returner. And after we saw Tank Dell's season end early last year this is not punt returning, when he was used as an interior blocker on a goal line play. I still can't believe Bobby Slowick did that. But I'm sure there was more than a few people, including one of my hosts on the Killer Bees, Jeremy Branham, who were very upset to see Tank Dell as a punt returner because they don't want to risk a playmaker at wide receiver that important to the team on punt plays. Where do you guys stand on not only Tank Dell as a punt returner, but maybe even using guys like Tank Dell or others, because I don't think was Sims, the wide receiver, is going to make the team. They have too many wide receivers for them to make the team. I think you're going to see some stars, not only because Sims isn't going to make the team, but because the kickoff return could be so much more valuable with the new rules. What do you think of guys like Dell being used in the new kick return and then punt return last night?
I mean, I get the concern, but at the same time, he got injured on a blocking play. Like he's dynamite.
Blocking between the tackles.
Yeah, he's a dynamite returner, and if you don't have anybody better, special teams is crucial. Like field, where you obviously land with the ball is crucial. And so Tank Dell was a monster at returning in college. If he's gonna do the exact same stuff in the NFL, I say let him go. Let him loose.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the play where he broke his leg, anyone would have broken their leg.
Nico Collins would have broken his leg, and he's 6'4". It doesn't even matter what the size is. I mean, someone just rolled on his leg.
Yeah, so I think, like Cam said, we saw what he could do at U of H as a returner, getting the ball in his hands in that situation. I will say, probably don't need to see him for the rest of preseason returning kicks.
That's fair.
I'm good on that.
Yeah, that I can go with.
But with what you're saying with the roster crunch of these wide receivers, they need to decide who to keep, who to cut. Steven Sims might not always be there.
Make the team.
Might not always be there to return those kicks. So if you have someone like Dell who can do it, might as well put the ball in his hands, get some good field position while you can.
Yeah, we were talking about this some during the break, and if you want to give us a call, looks like we're getting a call now on the HRP listener line. Please do so, 713-780-3776. But, okay, sure, you eliminate the risk. I get the idea of any play where he's not on the field is a play where he can't get hurt. So by removing punt and kick returns, you're lowering the amount of plays he can get hurt. But at the same time, I mean, Tank Dell, if the concern is, he's so small, he could get hurt. Well, he could get hurt as a receiver. There's no guarantee that he can't get hurt, getting tackled, dragged down, like someone horse collars him.
Yeah. The play that he scored a touchdown on.
Yeah, someone goes high-low on him injured. Yeah. There's so many ways he could get hurt. The idea that removing him from punt and kick return is just going to completely eliminate his, the risk of him getting hurt is absurd. He's just as likely to get a hurt on any individual receiving play. So if you got a dynamic weapon, use him.
Yeah. Well, we saw he got hurt off the field too. So when he got shot.
Yeah.
So I mean,
come on, Cam.
I'm just saying. I understand the concern, but you do what you got to do to win. And his senior year, I think he only returned 10 or 11 punts, but he averaged 18 yards a punt return.
And that's a good
which
point,
is phenomenal.
Cam. You don't have to like using him in kick and punt return. And again, like if you're looking at just any individual play, any individual passing play versus any individual return play, he's no more likely to get hurt on one versus the other. But to your point, Cam, using him on punt and kick returns doesn't mean he has to be the only guy to do all of it.
No.
Like you can use him. Like I remember back in the day, Danielle Manning would only occasionally return kicks, but he was really good at it. So if they same thing with Will Fuller, he wasn't used all the time as the punt returner, but if they needed a big play, if they were behind, then they would put him in and see if he can make things happen. That's how I think that the tank usage should happen.
It's something that happens in college too a lot, where a lot of times the best player on your team is your best receiver, and he should all or running back.
Xavier Worthy at Texas.
And he should also return kicks. But sometimes you just want more of a punt returner that like your fourth receiver.
Lamb.
Yeah, your fourth receiver. Well, also most of the time you're gonna fair catch it anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, not less this year, obviously. All right, let's go out to the HRP listener line. We got Jason in New Orleans wants to talk about Tank Dell returning kicks in the preseason. Jason, what do you got for us? Jason, going once, twice, and gone. All right, well, Jason's takes quite spicy today. Unfortunately, we weren't, and he is officially gone. So yeah, I just overall look. I mean, that was a rack up. That was a great take. That was a great take. I get the concern. Tank Dell is an itty bitty boy, and everyone's worried, and they want to put him in bubble wrap that he's going to get hurt on any play, but he's no more likely to get hurt on a punt play versus a receiving play. So, one question I have for you guys on the Texans, I'm curious to get your thoughts on before we move on to the Astros next segment. And again, obviously coming up in the hour two, all our usual hits. We got our big question coming up at 1:15. We got some hype train, some Why So Serious at 1 o'clock, and of course Mount Rushmore +1 at 1:30. But we've heard, I think, there's been more and more national media coming up, starting to have some takes about. Oh, we got Jason back on the line. All right, Jason, I believe you're calling for New Orleans, wanting to talk about the Tank Dell return situation. What do you got for us?
Hi, you can hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Gotcha. So my issue, I'm a Saints fan, but watching the Texans, impedes whether or not I have happiness at work because all my coworkers are Texans fans. So my issue is if Tank Dell is that dynamic and that great, cool, use him in punt returns, but not in the first preseason game.
Yeah.
And that's fair. Yeah, I think I remember which one of us said that, but that is completely fair, and we agree with that, Jason. Thank you for your call. If you want to also get in on the HRP listener line, give us a call or text 713-780-3776. I think, look, I'm okay with the risk there of Tank being used in kick and punt return in the regular season because, like Cam pointed out, he was a dynamic playmaker doing that in college at the University of Houston. But it's a preseason game. Like, I mean, if we're really for the starters, everything is about you want to get a few reps so they're not rusty. But you got to limit some risk. I would have been okay with Tank not returning one for real until the regular season started.
Yeah, cool. That's perfectly well said. Like Jason said, cool to see him do it. It was great. Don't need to see it again until week 1.
Let Jawar Jordan give it a shot or
Jordan.
something.
Let someone else.
Let Damian Pierce.
Yeah, Damian Pierce.
I mean, well, he returned kicks last year. He
Yeah.
He had a return touchdown against the Browns.
So my boy
true.
Ben Skoranek took.
Yeah, I mean they traded for him, so why not?
I mean, hell, the best returner of the team. We haven't even talked about him, Andrew Beck. Hook him.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have used him in kickoff returns. I mean, the greatest play of the 2023 season, Andrew Beck with the kickoff return against the Jaguars.
I don't know about
Screw
the greatest
it, let Donald
play.
Trump
That was
return.
the greatest play of the season, Johnny Belmer. Don't you dare say
The
otherwise.
Tank Dell
Hook 'em.
touchdown to win in the last second against Tampa Bay is better.
No.
Non-divisional game.
I mean,
Non-divisional game.
I think this is some anti-Longhorn bias. I know what's going on here. You
No-
you are a hater, Johnny Belmer.
No stage is bigger.
I'm with you, Johnny.
Appreciate it, Cam.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to
No
the
stage
opinion
is
of a coot.
bigger than Texans Jags, week 3 at noon, M&T Bank
The
Field.
house that Trevor Lawrence? No, the house that Mark Brunell built. I think it's
Yeah, I don't think they've gotten a new stadium.
not Byron Leftwich.
No, Byron Leftwich was later. Yeah. Because
The house that Keenan McCardell built.
the house that Fred Taylor
Fred Taylor.
built.
Fred Taylor. I mean,
Shout out to Cecil Shorts.
Oh,
Fred was pretty sick.
Yeah, no, they had some really good players back. Hell, even Mark Brunell. There was one game, I think this was in Houston, where he had like 24 straight completions. The Texans defense was just ass that day.
Yeah.
All right, enough Texans for now. We had some more thoughts, but there's stuff that'll save for future weeks. Let's get into the Astros on the other side of the break. Talk about this Astros Red Sox game with the bats breaking out last night, getting a big win on the road, and talk about some other things. Yonder Diaz as well with the big home run. Kind of his season this year versus last year when the bullpen returns on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
And drives this one deep to left field, all the way back and gone. Over the monster for a tying 2-run home run. We're knotted up at 3. Altuve hitting his 15th home run of the year. Yiner drives one deep to left field, well over the monster, out of the stadium. A 2-run bomb by Yiner Diaz, and the Astros up big now. It's 8-3.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. That, of course, courtesy of Space City Home Network, the voice of Todd Cowles, which you can hear on the Killer Bees every Friday at 4 o'clock, sometimes 4:30, depends on what Todd's going on. But a great call there of that Yonder Diaz, before that Jose Altuve home run. But the Yonder Diaz home run, my God.
Yeah,
I mean, his home,
tank.
and we'll talk about it in a minute, his home run power hasn't been there as much as it was last season. But that one, cleared the big green monster, was like over a sign and out of the stadium over to Yawkey Way or whatever it is.
They
behind,
changed the name, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And it's some Boston BS. But, I mean, just one of the most crushed baseballs I've seen this season. Yonder Diaz just absolutely smoked it.
Safe to say you got a hold of
the
that
monster.
Yeah.
What's that, Cam?
I was saying a monster over the monster.
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
Thank
I think
5.5.
we were joking about you doing stand up on the brick wall behind us. I don't know if that bit would kill though.
We
I'm
needed
not, I'm not a
this.
Yeah, we're
stand
gonna
up
have to
type
up your
person.
game. If you're gonna go to the improv, we're gonna have to up your game for Monster over the Monster.
I'm not a stand up guy.
We needed the
You're not. Many people said that,
Seinfeld.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
needed the Seinfeld. Boom, 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 boom.
No, thank you.
What's the deal with monsters over the monster? Anyway, all right. So the Astros get a big win last night, break out the bats, and obviously this has been a extremely tight race so far with the Seattle Mariners. They had pulled ahead briefly a few weeks ago, then they hit the skids, and dropped behind the Mariners now in a virtual tie. They've played 2 less games than the Mariners, but technically ahead on winning percentage, 60-55, while the Mariners are 61-56. But the winning percentage for the Astros, .001 higher. So,
Wow.
just overall, I know this season has obviously had it had a lot of lows in April and May, and then since then it's kind of been a roller coaster of the ups and downs. But they get the series win. At home before they go on the road, or I'm sorry, in Texas and Arlington. Feels like home because they play so well there. Then they go on the road last night and get the opening game of the Red Sox series. How are we feeling overall right now with the Astros in regards to just how well they're playing or not playing, in this case, well, and the race against the Mariners?
You got to feel good because the Mariners are going to keep you in it no matter how bad you play.
Offense is so bad.
But it's something where if they're in any other division, they'd be like 5.5 back at the very least. But
Mhm.
luckily, they're in the AFC West or AL West here.
Doesn't matter, Brian.
Yeah, the AL
AL
South.
West champions.
They're in
2
the
years
AL
a row.
South. Yeah. But I think you feel pretty good about where they're at. I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, it's so bipolar with the Bats where they have a series and a half of no run support for anybody, and then they drop an 8 spot on
It was like 16 hits. Too.
yeah on the Red Sox. And honestly, a lot of that what I was most kind of I guess encouraged by was that in that 8 runs 16 hit performance they had last night, it was a little bit of everybody getting in on it. It
Yeah.
wasn't just, I mean, it was one big inning, but it was one very big inning.
Yeah,
that-
with pretty much everybody. I mean,
and getting guys on, moving across. Like, it was a lot of runs and scoring, a lot of hits with runners in scoring position, a lot of singles leading to moving station by station. They don't play baseball this way anymore. But yeah, that 7th inning was.
I do miss small ball, Sean.
I was hoping for a bunt or two.
Yeah. You really, you bunt a guy, get on, bunt the guy over,
Yeah.
hit the other way, and then
Yeah,
they score.
sac fly, yeah.
Sac fly. That's what you do. Manufacturers runs, baby.
Yeah, but I think it's a situation where Altuve obviously had the big home run, Bregman had 3 hits, Alvarez had 2 hits, Yiner had 2 hits and the home run, Singleton had 2 hits, Pena had 3 hits, Myers had 2 hits. Like it was a very
Even
good,
guys like Pena who have been struggling recently were involved. Like the only guy that really didn't get involved, and let's touch on this one right now.
Oh yeah.
But Mauricio Dubon, 0 for 4 last night, and he. There's no other way to say it. He has absolutely sucked for the last few months. Like the first, and he's kind of had a couple seasons of doing this where he kind of fools us into believing like, hey, this guy's got really good, bat to ball skills. He's
Did last
contact hitter. He's going to hit for a decent average. He may not walk, but he'll hit for a decent average. Like he comes into June hitting like 315, and we're all obviously over the moon with his performance. But you look at Mauricio Dubon since then, since June 1st, he's hitting 215 with a 572 OPS. That's Maldonado levels. That is an awful OPS and a 162 game pace of 6 home runs, 45 RBI during that time. So look, the Astros have obviously experimented with bringing up a lot of guys like the Senzo before they traded him off. Loperfido. There's obviously been lots of guys they kind of brought in and out from AAA. Maybe Shea Whitcomb's on his way in the not so distant future, but I don't know. I'm kind of over playing Mauricio Dubon very much right now. I don't know what the other options are because Chas McCormick has also sucked, but I don't really want to see Dubon in the lineup very often right now.
Yeah, that relationship of being a bestie with Jordan is starting to wear down its lure though. But yeah, I don't. Who else? That's the problem. Who else are you going to put in for him?
There's not a great answer unless you bring somebody up. But I mean, it's just.
Last year he was super consistent, and then he started the season that way. I think it's fair to say maybe we just be a little more patient with him and see if he can get it back on track.
Over 2 months now.
No, I know.
It's not. I mean, you would be 100% right if it was like 2 weeks. Like that, I would it's a slump. Everyone goes through.
Or if it was like the beginning of the season when everybody was struggling,
like Bregman did.
But now it's like it's clutch time. Like now you're pushing to make the playoffs, and if you're
Yeah, you're in a virtual tie with the Mariners. You don't have time to wait.
if you're going 0 for 4 and 1 for 5 every game, like you are literally you're being Abreu. Like you're not bringing anything to the team when
Can
the
we
team.
send him to Miami?
Sure, yeah, get some swings in.
Get some swings in against some
single
single A
A.
players. Yeah, get his confidence back, or they come back and do the exact same thing. Yeah. Look, there's not a lot of great options. Like the answer or the question would obviously be when I say, "Hey, you struggle," will be like, "All right, well, who do you want instead?" Like you said,
Kyle
Cam. But
Tucker.
sorry,
Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I'll take him
yeah,
back. Sure.
there we go.
Kyle Tucker, who might not return now this
Does
season.
How many legs does Kyle Tucker currently have? Do we know?
At least one.
At
I
least
feel
one?
I feel
Do we-
confident saying
do we know?
one plus.
One.
Uh,
Can he feel it? Can he wiggle his toes on that injured leg?
I'll wait to see what Dana has to say tomorrow
God,
about it.
it's-
But I think that's
Yeah. What? To your point, though, to be real about
started in right field last night.
when
and
Tucker comes back, it doesn't matter. But
and not that it doesn't matter, but you get a lot less of Dubon and McCormick, who to me
Right.
have been kind of the chief disappointments, the chief and lieutenant disappointments for this season.
who's Colonel disappointment?
Colonel disappointment. Maybe Jake Myers.
That was
after-
Abreu
Ooh,
before
sec-
they let
yeah,
him go.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was dishonorably
he
discharged.
was
actually,
president disappointment.
he was dishonorably discharged. No, I think some of the. I mean, obviously, it's still one hitter coming back with Kyle Tucker coming back if he comes back when he comes back.
when
but
he has a leg.
yes, but I do think that it just bumps everyone down a notch on the depth chart where now maybe Dubon goes from starting more often than not than to being the more utility
Days off
bench man,
guy.
bench
Yeah.
off,
like he
bench-
was last year.
Yeah, like he was last year. Go back into that role. I feel like some of his struggles is just how overstretched he's been as of late.
All right, so someone else that's been struggling. We've talked about it a few times, but I mean, as long as it keeps happening, I guess it's worth mentioning. Ronel Blanco, a bit of a struggle last night. Only goes 4 innings because he gets his pitch count up to 88, and they decide to pull him. During that time in those 4 innings, he gives up 4 hits, 3 walks, so 7 runners allowed during those 4 innings. We've just seen as he gets closer and closer. I believe now just like 2 innings away from his previous high. Career high in innings pitched, his effectiveness has just dropped off. The velocity's dropped, the effectiveness has dropped off. Last 8 starts from Ronel Blanco, his ERA is 4.36. Look, I mean, they don't have the luxury right now of doing anything other than just continuing to running him out there, and hopefully they can limit his innings and save some of this for October. But I have to say, with a look towards October, and obviously the returns are very early for this guy, but I think I'm at the point where I trust Yusei Kikuchi right now way more than I do the version that we've seen of Ronel Blanco over the last month and a half.
Yeah, Ronel Blanco might be.
Is he JP France?
Yeah, I was gonna say he might be doing the JP France turning into a pumpkin. And listen, what both those guys did, what France did last year, what Ronel did this year. I mean, Ronel to a much, I would say, a much greater extent.
Oh, much greater. Yeah.
They did provide something that this team needed, and that was good starting pitching early in the season as the Astros were kind of clobbered by injuries to the staff. But this is kind of what happens when guys are late bloomers, I'll say, that are getting their first real shot in the bigs in JP France's case, his late 20s, and Ronel Blanco's case when
30.
he's 30. And when you start blowing past these innings, the level of innings that they're pitching in a single year, it just starts to slow down a little. They start to run out a little bit of gas. Part of it might also be the league kind of gets more tape on you,
Sure.
and you're not catching as many people by surprise anymore. So I think what Ronel Blanco did for this Astros team early in the season shouldn't be forgotten. With that being said, I'm glad they traded for Yusei Kikuchi to knock Blanco down a rung in the staff rotation.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me a few years ago when Brad Peacock kind of came out of that bullpen role and started and
Great
had
call.
had
Yes.
a really
Great call.
good couple.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, had
Yeah,
a
he's on the World Series team.
Yeah, had a good couple stretches of starting pitching, and then you could tell the innings were just eating him. And I know last week I said that I wasn't too concerned about Blanco, but after this last start, the fact that he's only gone over 6 innings one time the last 8 games, like that does kind of concern me. And like I know he was hardly going over 6 innings earlier in the year, but at least earlier in the year it was 1 run, 2 runs allowed.
Yeah.
Now it's 3, 4. Like it's not he's not putting good starts together, and I do think that now the innings are starting to catch up with him.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's getting to the point where, like, Spencer Arrietty's on the mound tonight for the Astros. And I do still trust Ronel Blanco than I do Arrietty. But Arrietty's had a couple of really good starts recently. He had like a 12 strikeout performance, like what? It's just a start or two ago. Yeah. And he's a rookie who you'd expect, while Ronel Blanco at age 30, as he reaches his previous career high in innings, you would expect maybe some regression there to start to take over because he wasn't a prospect. He wasn't a guy expected to do this. Whereas the inverse of that is Arrietty, someone who wasn't, a top 100 prospect, but someone who's definitely been on the Astros radar, seen as a potential starter in the big leagues. As he gets more mature, more seasoning, he's going to start to, potentially play even better, be on his way up while Ronel Blanco is on the way down. So I'm even getting close to the point of like, I'd rather see Arrietty right now than Ronel Blanco.
Yeah, and that some of that's just the difference of being, like you said, a first-time full-time starter when you're 30 versus being a first-time full-time starter when you're 24.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And
it's a big difference.
The arrow is kind of pointing up with Arrietty. The arrow's kind of pointing down with Blanco of late.
The good news is, Sean, you're 28. You still got time. Ronel Blanco's 30.
I think
you got time to make your way to the majors.
I think if the Astros added me to the rotation, things would go pretty poorly.
You think so?
I don't think I'll even have the April and May.
What's the RPMs? What are you throwing these days? Have you been clocked? What's the fastball say?
I don't know.
Have you guys ever done one of those where the pitching where they have the speed camera that times you?
I pitched my senior year of high school.
Did you?
And I was not a fastball pitcher. The highest I think I clocked in was 79, but I did have a pretty nice curve and knuckle. But
you were Jamie Mooring out there.
More of a Maddox than a
Clemens. A lot of junk out there.
Then my elbow became a noodle.
No.
Yeah.
It became a noodle after you were throwing 70-mile-an-hour heat.
It became a noodle after I was throwing a bunch of curve and knuckleballs.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's probably not great for you at 17?
It was not.
Yeah, it's probably not great. It's probably not great on the arm. All right, we'll carry over the Astros conversation to the other side. We'll talk some more about Yainer Diaz, some of the differences between last year, this year. Another Astro with a great run of success so far over the last few weeks. And then a question about the Astros playoffs hopes overall when we get back on the bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. If you want to get on the conversation, currently talking Astros, their big win last night over the Red Sox, and some of the good and bad performances that we've seen trending over the last few weeks. Give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776, that is. It's Brian McDonald with you here on Twitter at SackByBMac. Cam Smith to my right can be found on Twitter at Clutch City Cam, and Sean Mapes at the end of the desk, found on Twitter at Sean A. Mapes. And, of course, Johnny Belmer behind the glass is found on Twitter at Third Coast Johnny. So we kind of touched on this a little bit last segment, and I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. I believe Cam kind of mentioned it in passing, but I've kind of got the feeling if you look at standings right now, Astros in first place. So I think a lot of the optimistic, orange-colored glasses wearing fans would point to that as like, hey, they're in first place. Why would you feel anything but optimistic? But it kind of feels like Astros fans right now are falling into the same trap that maybe Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans fell into last year. Like, okay, you technically are in first, but if you're in any other division, like the Astros would be like 7-8 games or more out of first place in any other division in baseball. So it kind of feels like, and it's hard to kind of juxtapose against their long track record of postseason success, because I'm sure a lot of people say, well, just get in. We know this team has the postseason pedigree to once they get in to make something happen. But I mean, no one thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to do anything when they got into the postseason, even though they end up winning a playoff game. You don't take those teams from crappy conferences. Like, I mean, remember Eastern Conference basketball forever, unless it was LeBron's team. I mean, half the teams getting in were under 500. You didn't take any of them seriously. Are Texans fans maybe being lulled into Astros fans being lulled into a false level of confidence as they're poised to take control and possibly win this crappy division?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I get that they've had in years past, they've had a little, like, disappointing regular seasons, and they've still slid into the postseason and done something. But there's something about this season that just doesn't give me the same vibe. And I think a lot of it's like just the starting pitching. Like, you just don't have that lethal lineup of starting pitchers that you used to, that you could count on in the postseason when you're doing 5-game series, 7-game series. Like, they don't have that. So I think that they ultimately get into the postseason, but there's nothing dangerous about this team, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like, in years past, you could point to something and be like, oh, but they have this, they have that, they have that. It's just like, I can't put my finger on anything this year.
I disagree a little bit, just because of the nature of what postseason baseball is. And like Cam kind of alluded to, they've won 90 games last year, which to their standard isn't high. Now, I don't think they're on pace to win 90 this year.
No, we're going to lose our bet, unfortunately, in the Birds, which was at 92 and a half? Yeah, we're going to lose that bet. We're going to lose that bet.
But you also think about, and this is a little bit different because they only played 60 games, but in 2020, they're under 500.
2 games under, and then got in because of the expanded playoff field.
And make the ALCS to push it to a game 7. Yeah. So I do think that there's some level of trust you have in this group of postseason performers of when kind of it gets into that postseason grind. This is a team and a franchise that just have always won playoff series. So I trust, in a weird way, I do trust them a little bit more in a playoff setting than in a regular season setting. I think that they can be a better team. Especially if and when maybe they get healthier. With Justin Verlander's going to make a rehab start today. Yeah. You can hear it on ESPN 92.5 with the Space Cowboys. But and we've already mentioned Kyle Tucker coming back. We'll see. We'll see if Kyle Tucker comes back. But if you had Tucker and Verlander to this team, I feel pretty good walking into a playoff series with who the Astros would have against any of these other teams in the AL.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I do have, like, this team as currently constructed, the guys on the roster right now, I would probably lean towards like this is kind of Tampa Bay Buccaneerish. Like I don't have they're just kind of beating the other poor teams right now. They're not really at the same level the other contenders. But if you do get, a Verlander back, who's like Sean said, making a start today for the Sugarland Space Cowboys, supposed to need one more after that, and then would return to the big league club. You eventually, let's say you get Kyle Tucker back, second week of September, he's able to get going and find a rhythm before the postseason. Then yeah, I do think this is a team that is better than just a bad team winning a bad division and could compete for something in the American League because not only would this team then have obviously a deeper lineup, a deeper rotation, but when you go into the postseason, especially on the rotation side, the weakness of this rotation not isn't to me the top end, it's the depth because of the injuries that they've had. Like Fromber, like if they go into the postseason where you go down to 4 pitchers instead of using 5 or 6 in the regular season, and your 4 is Verlander, Fromber, Hunter Brown, Yusei Kikuchi, I'm pretty good with that. I mean, I'm pretty good with that. And then obviously you get on top of that, you get potentially, knock on wood, cross your fingers, Kyle Tucker back. And oh, by the way, you look at the American League, and look, there are teams that are pretty good, but the Mariners have no offense. I mean, the Guardians haven't really been there. They haven't gone through the wars. They don't have the experience in the postseason the Astros do. Same thing with the Twins, who the Astros beat in the postseason last year. The Orioles completely flamed out after winning 100 games last year, getting knocked out in the first round series against the Rangers last season. And then there's, the Yankees, who the Astros have dominated and been in their head since 2015. So I do think if the Astros get mostly fully healthy, which doesn't include Luis Garcia or Lance McCullers because they're never coming back, or at least Lance is never coming back. But if they get Tucker and Verlander back and win this division, I do have some confidence that they can make a run at it and get to potentially an 8th straight ALCS.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have confidence.
No, you're a hater.
But there's
you're
no,
a hater.
there's
We've
just
established this.
hey. There's so many ifs.
Hater.
If Kyle Tucker comes back healthy, if Verlander comes back and is healthy,
Hater.
If Hunter Brown can keep this streak up, and that's the thing, we're already seeing Blanco crumble, so it's just like there's so many ifs with this team. That is my concern. Like in years past, where we're at now, I don't remember there being this many ifs, and right now there are so many ifs with this team. That is why I'm concerned about a playoff run.
By the way, you want to say hater. That is actually a real issue. Like I'm worried about Josh Hader. And the backside of that bullpen.
Yeah.
He hasn't been where we thought he would be. He's done well.
He's actually got like the lowest whip he's had in like 4 seasons.
Yeah, and
I will give you this point, John.
Pushing Lidge's record too.
Yeah, he has had a lot of moments where they have like a 3-run lead and he gives up a solo homer.
Yeah.
And that makes the overall numbers, especially ERA, not look so great. But I don't know. Now I would say I'm more confident in Brian Abreu than Josh Hader. So if you want to make that point, I'm okay with that. I mean, Abreu hasn't given up a run in his last 11 appearances, so he's been amazing. But I don't have a lot of fear when Josh Hader goes out there right now, other than if it's a 3-run lead, he's going to make it 2.
Or if it's tied, he's gonna make sure they lose.
He's gonna leave some stress you out.
But if it's a safe situation, boom, you can turn off your TV.
Yeah, he's had what
25 straight.
25
saves?
straight. Yeah, I believe he failed on his first attempt of the season, and then has got every save or converted every save since then. So. All right, let's get out right here on the other side of the break, or bring it back. We did this a few weeks ago. I don't remember if Cam, were you here for the last Why So Serious, Cam?
I was not.
Okay, so this is only episode 2 of Why So Serious, featuring someone Sean knows very well. So we're going to have that on the other side of the break. Plus, Hype Train makes its return with some of the crazy reports coming out of the various NFL training camps. That when the Bullpen returns on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is The Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. Hour 2 of The Bullpen here on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. I am Brian McDonald, joined alongside Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and our man Johnny Belmer behind the glass. And bringing this segment back after a few weeks off, I don't even remember what we talked about, Sean, in the first Why So Serious. I think it was people being mad about Paul Skeens getting pulled from a no-hitter. That was certainly one of them. And there might have been something else. Yeah, it's been because I think it was right before the All-Star game. So it's actually been more than okay. It was maybe 3 shows ago, but we had some weeks off in there because we were playing instant football. We got dynasties to run, people.
And I think there was a storm weekend.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a storm, some rain. Not great. Fence is still down for those concerned.
Really?
But yeah, I had an insurance adjuster come out on Thursday, so. But I could feel Sean's eyes glazing over as I start to talk about deductibles and insurance adjusters.
I'm just saying,
I could just Sean just falling asleep in his head.
1 o'clock on a Saturday. This is what people got in their cars and turned the radio.
I'm quickly dumping out of insurance adjuster
when
talk.
you said the word insurance adjuster, I was like, well,
like the home show.
I know. I am so 40 right now. My apologies to anyone under the age of 40. Don't worry about insurance adjusters. Instead, let's ask the question: why so serious?
Why so serious?
So the subject today of why so serious is actually someone who works for the station. What? Someone Sean is very familiar with. That is Mr. Paul Gallant, who I am quite fond of. I like Paul. This is not an attack on Paul, but Paul has been. Well, I guess Sean is holding reserving judgment.
I'll be the judge of that.
You'll be the judge of that if this is an attack or not. But Paul is one. I think Sean, you would agree with this. You don't have to co-sign it. I know you have to work with him every day. But that would be better phrasing by me because that sounds like I don't want to work with him, and that's not true. But Paul is known to have, I guess, things that grind his gears from time to time.
A lot of people get hit with stray bullets.
Yeah. There's some pet peeves that Paul gets pretty fired up about, and I've heard this rant before, and I was like, Paul, why are we getting so mad about this? But I didn't say anything about it then, but then it came back on Thursday, and I instantly texted Sean. I was like, we're going to have to do Why So Serious this week. Yeah. So without further ado, let's hear Paul get very, very fired up about people using the terminology wide receiver one.
Yeah, I'm trying to warn everybody when this is done.
That's all right. Johnny, just let me know when you have it.
Stats do not effing matter. I hate that we have gotten to this point where we're like, who's the wide receiver one? Shut up. It's such virgin talk. Win a game. I get it. You haven't all grown up watching a team win 6 Super Bowls like me. But no one is supposed to care about how many targets a wide receiver gets, or how many catches a wide receiver gets, or how many yards a wide receiver gets, or how many yards anyone gets, because yards are the most irrelevant statistic in football. Wide receiver one, it's not a real thing, and it does not matter. It only matters to the egomaniacs who play the position, of which there are many. Guess what? It's a team effing game. Get open, and if you're open and the quarterback sees you, he will throw you the ball. Wide receiver one needs to be burnt at the stake, and then that needs to be sent into outer space, into the sun. And hopefully a black hole swallows that sun. And rant.
All right. So in rant there from Paul.
Thank you for the clean mark in, mark out with in rant.
In rant. Yeah, no, I had to end it with that. So let's again ask the question, Johnny. Why so serious?
Why are you guys so serious?
Look, look, we all have things that make us irrationally angry. I can't, though, for any reason, figure out why Paul cares. I know Paul is hard-o football guy. Like, he has made very clear that he is completely anti-stat, completely anti-fantasy football mindset. Just win the game. That is Paul's mentality, which makes sense because he's the same guys that carries like cleats and gloves and make sure he's ready for a pickup game by having that stuff in his trunk. So, and tells everybody about his high school tape. So I get that fits the profile of Paul Gallant's mindset, but I can't for the life of me figure out why he cares so much if people use the term wide receiver one. If a show is using the term wide receiver one, you think it's lame, or as he says, like virgin behavior, just change the channel. Again, why so serious about this, Paul?
Yeah, it's one of the best things about working with Paul is the random like, oh wow, there's a
How
lot
often
here.
do you get caught off guard with like, wow, I wasn't expecting
well.
that to become a thing that we would rant about today?
After like 2 years, it's
Okay.
not. I don't really get surprised by the one. I think
You expect the unexpected.
yeah, I just like I feel like I've stepped on all the landmines before, or brushed up against. Because this was one where D'Amico Ryans, I think by Kay Adams was asked who the
it was
wide
the Kay
receiver
Adams
one was,
question,
and he said
right.
whoever gets open, which
Football guy,
Which
no
is
wide
true.
receiver one.
but
Throw it
yeah.
to the open man.
So I agree with the where we go wide receiver run, quarterback one, like the influence because that is fantasy football talk.
Very fantasy football.
That the vernacular has then seeped into actually asking who the team's number one receiver is, where it doesn't actually matter who the number one receiver is.
It doesn't actually matter. I completely agree. But I will say to Paul's point, where I think at some point during the rant, he said there's no such thing as a wide receiver one. I would disagree with that because, like, there are formations when you might only have one wide receiver on the field. That wide receiver is probably going to be your wide. Like when Andre Johnson was here, and they had a one wide receiver set. Andre Johnson was out there. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. Who that is this year, I don't know, but that is your wide receiver one. Same thing if it's a two wide receiver set. I mean, who's out there in two wide receiver sets? It's your wide receiver one and your wide receiver two. Sure, there could be some substitutions depending on matchup or depending on fatigue if a guy has been in the game a long time, if it's towards the end. But in general, you're going to put your best two guys out there when you have two spots available. That would make them your wide receiver one and wide receiver two. And the other thing I would say to it is you can't tell me that defenses, when game planning for other teams, don't look at who's their wide receiver one, who do we want to stop the most. When Bill Belichick was facing DeAndre Hopkins, he would play that bracket defense where they put the second corner on Hopkins and then bracket him with the safety and double cover him. You're not doing that to a quote wide receiver 2 or 3. Bill Belichick is then telling you he's your one, he's the guy we're aiming to stop. So I do think the idea that wide receiver doesn't exist is a little misleading.
I mean, I'm kind of with you on that too, and I think it's team by team too, because like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who finishes as the wide receiver one.
That part I agree. It doesn't matter like who finishes with the most targets or whatever.
Yeah, and obviously some teams like the Texans, they have 3 quote wide receiver ones, so it's hard to put wide receiver one. But say for example Pittsburgh, there is a clear wide receiver
George
one.
Pickens is the wide receiver one. Yeah.
Like, so that's why, like, I can kind of see Paul's thoughts, but at the same time, I feel like it's just, it's team by team basis. Because, yeah, if there's a level playing field.
The Texans will face the Dolphins towards the end of the year. Who's their wide receiver one?
Whoever's open.
I mean, who are they game planning to stop?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
That's the wide receiver
And even though
That's
Waddle
the answer to the question.
could have wide receiver number one numbers occasionally, Tyreek Hill is still the clear wide receiver one.
And that's the way I'm looking at. Like, I'm looking at who the team's telling you who's most important by being the only receiver out there, like in one wide receiver formation, which obviously doesn't happen a whole lot now. And then who the defense is game planning against. That to me is telling telling us who the wide receiver one is, not necessarily, the fantasy football stats that enrage Paul. All right, we got just a couple minutes left in this segment. Johnny, let's get hyped.
We don't get hype. We stay hype. You know it, bro.
Oh, yeah. It's time for the hype train here in the bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. I think I scared Cam a little bit. Man, he might have peed himself a little bit from he looked down. He had to check. He wasn't sure because we're so hyped. All right, Cam, let's actually start out with your boys, the Chargers. Your boy Giro, for the Commoners, that is Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator. He's got praise for J.K. Dobbins. J.K. no legs? I don't know. He's torn everything in his lower body. Come on. That's not unfair. That's not unfair. So
I'm calling Lieutenant Dobbins.
I'm seeing a couple headlines for J.K. Dobbins. One, special season incoming for J.K. Dobbins. And the next one, Greg Roman has praise for J.K. Dobbins, saying at one point he can be as good as anybody in the league when healthy. Are we buying? I don't think anyone right now is expecting J.K. Dobbins, sorry, Paul, to be the running back one. But but what are your expectations, Cam, for J.K. Dobbins this week? Can he be as good as anybody in the league when healthy?
No.
All right. Well, that was
Get off this train.
I mean,
That was a plus kill.
I would love for J.K. Dobbins to have a phenomenal season and stay healthy,
Great
but
drop.
he has clearly proven that he cannot play a full season.
He played one game last year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not even a full game. He got hurt on a touchdown run, like third quarter, I think it was. No, it was first half.
Yeah.
But he got hurt
on a touchdown.
There we go.
All that
Hype
matters.
train leaving the station, baby.
I'm not gonna lie. The Chargers running back situation is not very thrilling.
You're not jumping on the Gus bus.
I like Gus Edwards. If he's my running back one, I do not.
Ravens West.
Ravens West.
Oh,
They already got G-Row. They got the Gus bus. JK no legs, and that's quite a formidable duo there. All right, let's go to the AFC South. Someone in the Texans' own division. This is according to Coach Shane Steichen. He said on Thursday to 107.5 The Fan that he quote or that he won't stop rushing Anthony Richardson, saying at one point that stopping Anthony Richardson from running would be like asking Steph Curry to stop shooting three-pointers. Shane Steichen, if he's running Anthony Richardson, look, I'm not telling you who to take in your fantasy drafts, but if Anthony Richardson's healthy and running the ball, you should take Anthony Richardson in your fantasy drafts.
You should also take a backup quarterback. Yes.
Are you guys on the Anthony Richardson hype train this year?
Yeah, of course I'm on the Anthony Richardson hype train.
Yes.
Guys, believe the hype.
Ooh, it's a new one, John.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Yeah, I mean, we did a segment after his.
You were in love after the,
I was like,
the
drafted
NFL
number
combine.
one.
Yeah, Sean had a man crush after the NFL combine.
And I will say I've been a little watered down. I have a little bit of cold water poured on me.
Yeah.
By the fact that he only finished one
game,
one of the 4 games that he played last year.
Yeah.
So that's not good. But yeah, of course I'm in on Anthony Richardson.
Cam?
Surprisingly, I am as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Make it 3 for 3. I am also in on the Anthony Richardson hype train. Like Sean said.
Oh my God!
Woo! I love that drop. You can play that as much as you want, Johnny. Yeah, 100%. Like late round quarterback philosophy in fantasy. I don't know what round. I'd have to look it up later what his ADP is, but he's certainly not an early quarterback. You can get him in the middle rounds after you draft your running backs and wide receivers, but definitely take a late insurance policy. Maybe like a Jared Goff or a Stafford who's going really late in the drafts. All right, let's do one more before we get out and get to our big question. James Conner. We talked about an old running back who's always hurt before with J.K. Dobbins. Let's talk about another old running back who gets hurt a lot. But James Conner looks like he is, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, still the focal point of the backfield for the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, we know they spent a second-round pick on Trey Benson. Or actually, it was a third-round pick, but a day 2 pick on Trey Benson. I think a lot of people thought, okay, James Conner's like 29 years old. Even though he had his first 1,000-yard season, maybe Trey Benson gets worked in. But from all reports, Trey Benson hasn't looked good during camp. While James Conner's there, when he's healthy, kind of like JK, he's extremely efficient. Look at his game log the second half of last year. He's like running back 5, running back 4, running back 1. I think I don't care really what his ADP is right now. I'm taking James Conner in my fantasy drafts. I am all aboard this hype train.
Believe the hype.
Yeah, I've always been a big Connor fan. I usually try and get him on every season that I play fantasy football as kind of like that second or third running back, the guy that you could also use as a flex. I mean, he runs the ball, he catches the ball, and it's not like Arizona has a ton of offensive weapons. So
other than Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean,
yeah, I think he's gonna feast again this year.
I am not on the hype
getting
train.
off the train.
Yes, get off this hype train. Because of this one sentence in this report that you read from.
Okay.
The 29-year-old has never played a full season in the NFL.
That's true.
And then goes on. But if his health cooperates, another 200-plus carry season could be in the cards for Connor. That seems like one thing leads to the other, where he's never 200 yards or 200 rushes, despite the fact he has not actually played a full season because he gets hurt all the time. I don't really see how he gets 200 carries if he has never played a full season.
I mean, right now I'm looking at his ADP on Underdog because I took him in a slow draft that I'm doing right now. His ADP is pick 83. I mean, you're talking, what is that, like 7th round? I think if depending on how you draft, especially if you're taking not taking quarterback till later, I mean, in a lot of cases you could get him as your running back 3. Sorry,
Okay.
Paul.
In that situation.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
Look, I mean, if you
Well,
look at
I
this,
was thinking of him more as a starting running
His
back.
last 4 years, 13, 13, 15, 13. So yeah, he's missed a few games, but it's not like he's missing half seasons. Like it's 3 games a year.
yeah,
and like I'm okay
right.
with that if he's
You
my third
don't
running
take
back.
him expecting you're ever going to get a full 17 game or even 16 games, really even 15. But I mean, when you look at the last part of his season last year, is see if I can pull this up. Yeah, okay. So last 5 games James Conner played last year, and that was 5 games in a row because there was a bye week in between there. But he was running back 5, 11, 4, 4, 1. I mean, the Cardinals offense, when they get down to the goal line, I mean, they're not running. Kyler Murray isn't Josh Allen. He's not going to, quarterback power
Anthony
his way to
Richardson,
the end zone. It's going to be James Conner. So I think, especially if Trey Benson is not, or the coaching staff isn't in love with him right now, I think James Conner is a lock pick there in the middle rounds. All right.
Anthony Richardson, sorry, 44th is what he's ranked. So if you break that down, that's what third, fourth round in some leagues.
He's 4th round.
He's-
Okay,
he's
I'm
ranked
not as
44th.
in then if he's 4th round.
Yeah, he's ranked in between Hurts and Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh, okay, all right. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm getting. You know what? I'm off the hype train. I do want him on my team, but 3rd, 4th round, nah.
I mean, I'm still on the
That's a
hype
hard-
train, but I'm not taking
That's
him
a
with the
hard
3rd
pass.
or 4th round pick.
No, that's a hard pass. All right, let's get
Ride or
out
die.
hype train over for today because we got to get to the big question on the other side of the break when ESPN Radio returns. Just here in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. 3 segments to go on today's show. Brian McDonald here with you, along with Cam Smith and Sean Mapes, Johnny Belmer behind the glass. It is time for our big question. And I had this thought yesterday. I don't know if you guys have anything like this, and well, we're about to find out because I'm going to ask you the question. But for some reason, just like a few days ago, I just had this craving hit me. It was like, I have to get some Jack in the Box tacos. And then I was passing by a Jack in the Box like a day later, and I stopped and got 4 Jack in the Box tacos. I just random ass craving. So my question to you,
They're
Sean,
like 99-cent
Yeah. Well, I think I think it's
How
I
dare
think
you?
it's like $1.69 for two, right? I mean,
Oh
this is
my
the
God.
highest quality product you could ever put into your body, right? This is primo stuff here.
I don't know why, but that extra 80 cents makes it like I'm not
You know
sure.
what?
I'm not,
Out.
I'm not sure if I want this.
So I'm curious to ask, John, Sean, and Cam here, like what, and the spirit of this to me is things you shouldn't eat or things that are bad for you, whatever.
I got
That, like you got cravings for, and like, damn it, I can't let this one go. I have to get this really soon. Well, jump in, any one of you. What are your random ass cravings like I had for Jack in the Box tacos a couple days ago?
I've actually been having one lately. By the way, Jack in the Box tacos, cardboard with dog food in the middle.
No,
Like, give me a break. Dude,
Again, that's the
Thank
point
you.
That's the
No,
point
no,
of
no,
this.
no.
I know it's bad. Like, no, Cam, you're offended. I know. You served us a delicious shrimp tacos before the show started. And I told you this off air. I'll tell you it on air. Delicious.
Thank you.
I'm not comparing Jack in the Box tacos to what you gave us. I know they're
Oh,
crap.
I know you're not.
I know they're crap, but sometimes I have a craving
Okay,
for
but
those terrible
you
tacos.
can crave food that's bad for you.
Yeah.
But you really shouldn't crave food that just tastes bad altogether.
That is
That's
an
actually
excellent
a good point,
That's an
Johnny.
excellent point. Is
I
it
still crave it though.
is it like nostalgia that you're
Maybe.
looking for?
Yeah,
Because
okay. So the best way I can Taco Bell actually falls in this category for me too. And I know I'm
Careful,
talking to
careful,
I know I'm talking to a
careful
man who
now.
loves Taco Bell and Sean. But there are times like there's like a cycle. Like if you put up a graphic of Brian has nostalgia for bad food, eats it, doesn't like it, and then as the circle goes around, forgets that he didn't like
Yeah.
it, and then comes back to craving
like
it
a
again.
four 4-month cycle.
Yeah,
of-
exactly. Where I probably won't eat Jack in the Box tacos until like November, but it'll be the only thing open. It'll be the only thing open on Thanksgiving Day. Is like, you know what? I can
have Thanksgiving.
well, no, after the Thanksgiving meal. Like maybe I'm driving around. I had the Thanksgiving meal. I'm getting a little bit hungry again. It's like, you know what? The only place open is Jack in the Box. I'm gonna go get me some tacos.
The Jack in the Box 99 cents. They're still 99 cents in my mind because
that's what they're worth.
because that's how much they cost in 2011 or whatever.
Yeah.
But since Jack in the Box was always right across the street from where I went to high school at St. Pius,
Sure.
that it was a big. If you didn't have a car, you would just walk across the street
Hell yeah.
and hang out at Jack in the Box and have 4 tacos and
Hell
spend
yeah.
$2. That said, I don't really. I'm good
All right,
not
look,
having them.
Okay, I feel like most of the segment is just
we stopped answering questions.
bashing my
Yeah.
craving.
Just-
what is y'all's
Okay.
craving?
That's
wait,
true.
Let me take a turn
Is-
bashing your guys.
Is it food that's bad for you or just food in general that you crave?
I mean, what I'm saying is I don't want you to go out and name some sit down restaurant that you're going to spend like 40, 50 bucks
Okay,
on.
because I was gonna say I crave
that's not the hardest
Vietnamese
way.
food
This
a
is
lot.
this is like drive through,
Yeah,
maybe not
Impulse.
necessarily midnight, but kind of like drunk food.
It's like impulse. Buying.
yes, exactly.
Oh,
impulse.
That Popeyes.
Oh,
two
good
piece,
call.
2 piece. But I mean,
Do you
like,
go spicy or you go?
definitely spicy.
Okay.
But
Okay,
yeah,
my man,
if there's
my man.
something that is not good for me and I'm not going to eat it a lot, but I do have a crazy craving for it, it's probably going to be Popeyes.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
definitely
do,
going
I
to
do
drown
have
it in
some,
sauce.
My
hot sauce.
Popeyes craving is usually for their chicken sandwich. I love their chicken sandwich.
That and also
Greater sign Chick-fil-A.
they're little. I don't know if they have it anymore because it's been a while since I've been there. But the little red beans and rice chicken
That's
wrap.
it. Yep.
Hallelujah, man!
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Sean,
slap a kid
John, you got anything?
that.
Not Sean, John, but Sean and John, you got anything?
I got one. It's kind of in general. It's not always a specific place, but every once in a while, I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know what I could kill for right now is a chocolate milkshake.
Yeah,
Just
that's the exact mindset. That's the hardest. Like,
Just-
man, I would kill for
I
something
just-
right now. Yeah,
And it's somewhere where it's like, well, I have to like kind of go to a place and just be like, one milkshake, please.
yeah.
And so
Sonic is the perfect.
I
place
don't
for that,
always
though.
do it, but yeah.
Yes.
Sonic's a good one.
Sonic is really the heart of this question because I'll throw something else in.
Tater tots.
Well, sure, but the Sonic like mozzarella sticks and their corn dog, I'll have some moments like I am going to murder someone if I don't get some.
Or their
mozzarella
stuffed jalapeno
sticks.
poppers. I did try and do the
I don't like those
milkshake
as much.
contest
I don't
back
like
in the
those
day,
as
and
much.
that was bad.
I'm a big ocean water guy from Sonic.
Ooh, those are really
That's
good.
one. My order the 2 times a year I go to Sonic
Right.
is normally an ocean water and like 2 corn dogs.
That's like me for
Yeah,
Taco Bell.
yeah.
Like I'll get Taco Bell maybe like 2 or 3 times a year, but I'm always having to get the Baja Blast. Like that
Yes.
has to be
Yeah. Oh,
every
I
time.
mean, I go to Taco Bell probably, I don't know, 40 times a year, and I always have to get
Sean
the
has
Baja
had
Blast.
a Mount Rushmore +1 about Taco Bell. He is Mr. Taco
Yeah.
Bell.
They have your order
Yeah.
ready for you already.
Not yet.
This way,
Not yet.
Mr. Mapes. They have like a roped off section
Yeah.
for him. Yeah, he
Just
gets bottle
skip
service
the
there.
line. Yeah, I get my own
Bottle
section.
A Baja,
they come out-
bottle service, a Baja Blast.
They come out with a Baja Blast with a sparkler in it.
Sean, you got it.
Yes. So Cam actually tugged at my heartstrings when he brought up the Popeyes
Okay.
chicken strip with the red beans and rice and the burrito. I forgot about that. I used to crave those all the time. It's been a while. But my recent one lately has been McDonald's chocolate chip cookies.
Really?
They
I
are
don't think I've had
incredible.
theirs. Like Chick-fil-A's chocolate
Yeah.
chip cookies are really good.
I think they're the best ones
Subway's
from
for
all the
me.
fast food.
Man, you still go to Subway?
No. For the
So-
cookies, yeah.
Subway might be the antithesis of this question
Yeah.
for me.
Has
Oh,
anyone-
no, I don't go
has
there for the
anyone
sandwiches.
no, serious question. Has anyone ever craved Subway? Like post
No.
1999?
Yeah, post 1999.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
like,
Okay, post Jared Fogle conviction.
Oh,
Oh.
I wouldn't even say it's a moral stance,
No,
but
no, no. I'm not saying that as a moral question. I'm saying that just as a stamp in time.
I think I was out on Subway before it came out, and then when it came out, I was like, I knew I was right. I knew I was right.
I knew something was off with this.
That's why
I think when I was out was when they had to tell us like our bread isn't really bread.
I was out after. This is another one where in high school I would have it all the time, and then I don't know when I got to college and there was a Subway, and I went there once, and I was like, you know what, I really don't like. I actually don't like Subway anymore.
Yeah,
I was out after they were out of everything every time you would go. They'd be like, no lettuce. The spinach would be all like wilted. The tomatoes would be all like, bleh. Just kind of like, what are we
I
doing
think
here?
I was out when literally there was any other option for a sandwich shop.
No, I
like
get it.
like Subway thrived when there was like the only competition was like Schlotsky's, which like was barely exist in Houston, or like Quiznos. But then Quiznos had to go and put a rat in their commercial, and everyone stopped going to Quiznos. Like, they remember when Quiznos had the brilliant idea, hey, we have a restaurant, let's put singing rats in our commercials. And what do
don't
you know,
remember that.
Quiznos
Like
business
Chuck E.
went
Cheese.
downhill. But like, yeah, well, that's different, a little bit different.
He's an entertainer.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't care for Subway. I just love the chocolate chip cookies, so I will literally
man.
go there just for
I
the
just
cookies.
have such a hard time believing their chocolate chip cookies aren't mid. Like I just
they
have
are mid. Yeah, they're mid.
Okay, okay, all right.
I do like
To each
Like,
their own.
I respect your food takes, Cam. This one really surprises me. The chocolate chip cookies from Subway, I'm like, really?
They're the perfect in between, like chewy and hard, and when they come out fresh.
Do you prefer chewy or hard? All right, I'll move on. Before
Not chewy.
You could have said crunchy.
Nobody
Chips Ahoy had this figured out a long time ago.
Cam, there was like
Does it say crispy?
There was a couple right
No,
answers, Cam, and that
crunchy.
wasn't one of them.
Is it crunchy?
Crunchy. Yeah, it's crunchy or chewy. That's the.
I do like Chips
That's
Ahoy,
the-
but I didn't
that's
realize
the
they were
Chips
labeled.
Ahoy
I
dichotomy.
thought it was just regular and then chewy. I didn't know there was a crunchy
Okay.
label.
Yeah,
I mean,
this-
that's just the.
This has gone off the rails.
Also chewy all day.
Chewy all day. Yeah, come on, Cam. Terrible. There was a couple right answers there, Cam, and you did not give one of them. All right, we got to get out because on the other side of the break, it is our award-winning, groundbreaking segment, Mount Rushmore +1. Well, hopefully Cam won't talk about things that he enjoys that are hard. That's next with the Bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. It is time for Mount Rushmore Plus One, the award-winning, groundbreaking segment that literally changed the sports radio landscape forever. You know, John Lance got into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, Mount Rushmore Plus One should get a nod pretty soon into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
Maybe another 20-something years.
Honestly, that would be a travesty upon the radio industry if it took us 27 years.
You're saying we should be the Terrell Davis of,
yes,
Texas Radio Hall of Fame?
Like our short window of dominance,
the 2.5 years that we've done that, or year and a half that we've done.
Like I'm just saying, if it takes 27 years for Mount Rushmore Plus One to get into Texas Sports Hall of Fame,
it's a travesty.
It's a travesty. Okay. All right, so anyone want to lead off? Well, we know main event Mape's going to main event. Cam, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right, hit us, Cam.
So, because fantasy football is shortly upon us, I went with the top 5 fantasy seasons of players in the past.
Ooh.
So,
how many of these are Christian McCaffrey?
He's on there.
Okay.
He's on there. So, number 5. So, I'll go backwards. Lamar Jackson in 2019 had 416 fantasy points.
You know what made him so great? Because I actually had him on 2 teams and won titles in both. I think everyone that had Lamar won the title that year. But not only was he great and so much better than everyone else at quarterback, but like in the my money league that I won for the first time, I got in like the 8th round. Like he wasn't a super high pick that year.
Yeah, him and Mahomes were both like, if you had them, you had like a 75%. The rookie Mahomes. Or first year starting.
Second year.
First year starting.
Playing,
right.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Number 4. Going to go all the way back to 2002 with Priest Holmes, who had 441
Was that the year
points.
he had like 27 touchdowns?
I think so.
Yeah. I know there was a year.
You talk about another efficient guy, like 5 years, he was just deadly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is crazy because, I mean, he was splitting carries with Jamal Lewis in Baltimore. Like, I don't know if they ever saw him as...
Jamal Charles?
Oh, I thought you said Priest Holmes.
Yeah.
No, Priest Holmes was splitting times with Jamal Charles. If I said...
Yeah, you said
Jamal Lewis. Okay, that's my fault. My fault. But I don't think they saw Priest Holmes as that sort of guy, and then boom, 27 touchdowns.
Yeah. Number 3, 2000, Marshawn Faulk with 460 fantasy points.
What year?
2000.
Man, fantasy football. I don't think I was even playing fantasy football. I think they were still having to write that crap down on pen and paper.
I remember I've been playing fantasy football so long, I had work done on one of my teams.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you were aging.
There's one league I'm in that's
coming
18
from the 40-year-old. You're aging yourself.
I've been in one league for 18 years.
I didn't get into fantasy football when they were literally having, like, I've heard of like people I've played with talked about when they had to literally write it down and like do it themselves. Yeah. But when I got into it, thankfully it had been moved on to computers by that
Yahoo
point. Yahoo was the early king of fantasy sports. So yeah, that Marshall Faulk year even predates me a little bit.
Number 2, 2019, Christian McCaffrey, 471 points.
I mean, you got 2 players with him. You got sorry, Paul. You got a running back 1 and a wide receiver 1 in one player.
However, the greatest season of all time goes to the greatest player of all time, and that is my guy. In 2006, LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah.
481 fantasy points.
I was like, are we not going to get LaDainian Tomlinson?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cam, but there was a year, and I'm assuming it was this one, where he had like 1,600 yards rushing and 100 receptions.
Yeah, he had 1,800 yards rushing, over 100 receptions, and he had like 27 touchdowns, something like
31.
That.
He had like 28 rushing touchdowns and like 3 receiving. It was just
psychotic.
Just LaDainian Tomlinson.
And of course, they didn't do anything that year. So.
Well, I mean, yeah,
lost to the Patriots.
It's the Chargers. that's what they. Hey, lost to the Patriots because stats don't matter.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul Gallant. Yeah. But LaDainian Tomlinson was like literally changed. He was so dominant. He literally changed the way fantasy football would play because if you had the 101, it's like, well, I win. And so that was when they started putting in the 3rd round reversal thing to make even it out a little bit because the teams that were getting 1 were just winning every year because of LaDainian Tomlinson. All right, my Mount Rushmore plus 1, not as sportsy, not very sportsy at all, I would say. My Mount Rushmore plus 1 this week is of illnesses that aren't funny, but I think sound funny, and when I hear them, I laugh.
Okay.
Because I'm a bad person.
Okay.
But when I hear number 1 on the list, number 1 in your heart. Mesothelioma. Whenever I see the infomercial come on for mesothelioma, see, John's laughing, Cam laughed. Sean's chuckling a little
Because
bit.
I know this commercial.
Yes,
It's
like,
how it gets said.
yeah, mesothelioma. Like, there's no way
Mesothelioma.
you can hear mesothelioma. And go,
God, there's another disease that has commercials that's also kind of funny.
There's another one.
Uh,
This is a goat. I'm trying to remember the actor's name. I can't remember his name.
Is it Wilford Brimley?
Yes, Wilford Brimley speaking here for diabetes. You can't hear. That's my number 2, by the way, of my Mount
Okay,
Rushmore
good.
plus one.
I didn't want to step on it.
Of illnesses that I'm sorry, I know they're serious, but I can't stop from laughing. Like, I can see a kid stand-up comedian just get up on stage and go, diabetes, and I'm rolling. Like, you got me already. I'm laughing. You got me.
Yeah, Wilford Brimley didn't do a lot to make me take diabetes seriously.
Yeah. Was there no producer that go, hey, it's diabetes, not diabetes?
Can we get a less hilarious take, please? Less hilarious pronunciation.
Next one on my list of funny sounding illnesses. This one, unfortunately, let me pour one out. It took down my boy Arthur Smith in Red Dead Redemption 2, but tuberculosis. I hear tuberculosis. I know that sounds funny to me. I know it's serious.
A little bit.
It makes me laugh.
What's
I hear
funny?
he died of tuberculosis. I can't even say it without laughing.
That's a you problem.
That is probably a me problem. Yes, that's probably.
What's funny is it both in Red Dead Redemption 2 and in the cinematic classic Tombstone is how everyone back in those times were like, get this lunger away from me. It was like the names for it were always hilarious.
They look down upon you.
Yes, and it was also derogatory that you had this disease.
Is that what took down Doc Holliday was tuberculosis?
Maybe.
Yes, it was.
I
It
don't
was the
remember.
consumption.
Man, what a baller.
That's another.
Consumption's a good. Not on my list, Sean.
I'll
that's
be your
good. That's good.
huckleberry.
Consumption was just a nice way of calling you a drunk back in the day.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know if I could call it the disease, but
I'm in the prime of my life.
The whiskey was arguably more filtered than the water was. So
It was.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
They're being
All-
healthy.
All right, number 4, my Mount Rushmore plus one of illnesses that are serious, but I think just sound super funny. Dysentery. Shout out to the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, this is all.
Yeah, shout out to the Oregon Trail. Like whenever someone in your party died of dysentery, it's like, I'm going to miss you, but that's hilarious. See, Johnny's laughing.
So
He might be laughing because I'm a bad person.
The
but
first 2 are from commercials. The
Trail
next
of
2
Tears.
are from the 1870s.
Yeah, it sounds funny. People in the 1800s died funny. That's what I'm saying, Sean.
and miserably.
Dysentery.
And miserably.
I think dysentery, when you hear what it is, and you're like, wait.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like,
Wait,
this is
So
very.
he pooped himself to death?
This is very
That's what
surface
I-
level.
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. But this is very surface level. I don't look past past.
Because what happens? You die of dehydration.
Yeah, see that
because
that's
of how
not
much.
as funny.
No, you die of dehydration, comma, because of how much diarrhea you have.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing.
Yeah,
I'm laughing.
yeah.
It's funny.
It is funny.
Last one, gout. That's funny. I like.
Oh,
yeah, like
wow.
gout's funny. Like,
It's the only one I think you can't die from.
I don't think you can die from it. It can make you miserable.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The
no, I
gout.
don't think you can die from it. But like when
It's a king's disease.
well, sure, yeah, regal stuff here. But yeah, when you hear gout, it's like gout. It's like, I mean, what are you, 80?
I'm a. Can I nominate a
Yeah,
outside
please,
looking in?
Please.
Lupus.
That's a good call. I should have put lupus in instead
I think
of
part of it is because of the show House.
Yeah.
Where they would always go, is it lupus? And then they almost kill the patient, and then it's not lupus, and it's something else. But
yeah, lupus is one where, like, if someone tells, like, man, this guy died of lupus, like, part of me is like, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh.
Why are
don't
you the
laugh.
way that you are?
I think of Professor Lupus
Well, who's Professor Lupus?
from Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm not a nerd kid. I'm sorry.
You're
I
wearing a-
say that as I'm
you're wearing
drinking from
a-
I am.
Adventure.
Oh yeah, I am wearing a Harry Potter hat. Too.
as I'm drinking from
Yeah,
an Adventure
what the
Cup.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Nerd.
You nerd. All right. Main event, Mapes. Go ahead and main event,
Yeah,
please.
taking away from the nerds over here. Let's do a sports one, because this is sports radio, ESPN. This is one that I just found this Twitter thread this morning, actually, in my very extensive
I could
research.
tell, yeah.
And it's my Mount
This is
Rushmore.
like 11:35ish.
Mount Rushmore plus one. It's like 10:45. Mount Rushmore plus one of Tony Gwynn stats.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
Just
like crazy stats.
yeah,
that-
just stats from Tony Gwynn.
You know, we haven't done one like this. I'm into it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so the batting average for in a two-strike count for pitcher or for players.
Okay,
All-
so when the batter should be at a huge
Yes, when it's
disadvantage. Yeah.
0-2, 1-2,
Sure.
2-2, 3-2. All MLB hitters combined since 1988 have a 183 average. Tony
Okay.
Gwynn had a 302 average.
My God, what a machine!
No one hits 302 anymore.
No.
Get off my lawn. Tony Gwynn versus Greg Maddux, 107 plate appearances. Tony Gwynn had a 415 batting average
God.
with 0 strikeouts.
0 strikeouts.
0 strikeouts?
Wow.
Zero
How
in
many,
like a fifth of a season.
how many at bats did you say it was?
107.
Yeah, that's like a fifth of a season. Yeah.
That's 20% of his
Wow.
I think the 0 strikeouts is more remarkable than the 415
415?
batting
Yeah,
average.
you
Yeah.
figured Maddox would get you to chase at some point.
something.
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn struck out 186 times from 1990 to 1999. His entire 1990 strikeout total would have been tied for 51st in single season strikeouts.
So he had how many strikeouts for an entire decade?
186.
Adam Dunn has struck out like over 200 times,
Yeah.
like 5 times in his career.
This year, there's probably going to be like
Joey Gallo has like 5 seasons over 200
Yeah.
strikeouts.
there's going to be like 15 guys that strike out 200 times.
Oh my God. And he struck out less than 200
In a
times an
decade.
entire decade. Jesus.
It'd be 51st if it was a single season
Wow.
strikeout total. What?
Is that 3?
Yes, this is. Yeah, that was 3. This is number
This is
4.
well done, Sean.
Tony Gwynn could have gone 0 for his next 1,183 at bats and still finished as a 300 hitter. for his
That's
career.
psychotic right there.
So like he could hit Jose Abreu and then still
Yes.
finish as a career
Yes.
300 hitter. Okay.
And for about 2 seasons of at bats.
Wow.
He could just go hit.
Oh, 0 for 2 seasons and he would still be a lifetime 300 hitter.
Yes.
Wow.
And last but not least, Tony Gwynn averaged more assists in his 4-year San Diego State basketball career than strikeouts in 20 years of baseball. He had 590 assists at San Diego State, and he had 434 strikeouts for the
Man.
Padres.
God, Tony Gwynn is one of
What a
those
machine.
guys that you know that he's an all-time great, right? But I think even I didn't live through I was alive for his prime, but I was little, right?
Mhm.
But he's one of those guys that until you hear or see stats like that, you don't fully comprehend okay, I know he was a good contact hitter. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
what you think, but then you hear stats like that, it's like one of the
I mean,
top
that's a
5
good
hitters
point.
of all time.
Because I knew about Tony Gwynn growing up, but like I was always in love with King Griffey Jr.
Sure.
because obviously the monster numbers, but
In the video game.
putting what you said
Yeah.
in perspective of Tony Gwynn, like good lord, man.
Yeah, certainly one of the best hitters of all time. All right, that'll do it for Mount Rushmore Plus One this week. We got one segment left, and when we return, we finish the way we always do: our worst people in sports and what we love from sports this week on the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. One segment left this week. I believe we're on this next week, right? We're not. I don't remember when Aggies start kicking us off, or we move to Sundays.
That's probably in like 3 weeks.
That's probably in a few weeks. So yeah, plan on us being on, unless Sean and I gotta continue building Rice towards dominance in college football 25 as I get them closer and closer to a national championship. All right, let's end the show like we do every week with our worst person in sports this week and what we love from sports this week. I'll go ahead and kick it off. My worst person in sports this week. I hate to do this because, I mean, he's the people's champion. He's the WWE champion. He's got the coolest neck tattoo ever. I say, /S, so very sarcastically. But Cody Rhodes talking about getting big old fat after his career's over.
Yeah, I'm trying to warn everybody when this is done. I'd like to at least put on 75 to 100 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying maybe like 25.
No. I want anything that's even like jaw. I want it gone. I've done this since I was 14. I've been working out since I was 14. Which shouldn't start working out when you're 14, but I was like redneck parents and my dad and everything. I was like, I was just like, I don't know. Tommy Bahama shirt, khaki shorts, like red, like sunburnt, kind of just consistently. It's just, I don't know what that look is, but that's my ideal 60s.
I mean, okay, guy who's worked out since he was 14, humble brag. Don't try to appropriate, out of shape culture. I'm very offended by this. Like, oh yeah, I've been in shape for so long. I've had a six pack since I was a teenager. I'm just gonna casually put on. Screw you! I'm gonna casually put on 75 to 100 pounds. Cody Rhodes, tone deaf, sir. Did not appreciate that take.
Yes, tone deaf. Some people just did that on accident for the love of the game. Now he's going to say, after I'm a WWE champion, then I'll be like the rest of you people.
Yeah, you people. All right. Who's next? Who's got a worst person in sports this week?
I'll go with Steve Kerr.
Because he's benching people?
Yes. Like Tatum.
But I mean, it's working.
They're barely winning against some of these teams.
Are they in the title game?
They had to come back against Serbia by 17 points.
Which has a future Hall of Famer on the team.
One future Hall of Famer on that team.
Who did what today? Got a triple-double?
Well, he's a monster.
Yeah, they won bronze.
I wouldn't say Shelby Coolidge. I wouldn't say I hate Steve Kerr. I'm irked by him. Is that okay to say?
That's fine. No,
That's
you
fine.
can say whatever you want. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I think Steve Kerr's also fighting an uphill battle here too, where people already preconceived are like, Steve Kerr, especially these post-dynasty Warriors teams, you're not blown away by, and now this.
I guess my question to the Steve Kerr criticisms would be like, who would you be okay with him sitting? Because someone's going to not get. I like Embiid
Derek
games.
White.
Oh, okay. Well, Derek White's fair. That one's actually fair. I never thought he should have been on the team anyway. I mean, that should have been Jaylen Brown, right? But I mean, when you got with the exception of Derek White, 15 All-Stars on a team, and someone's not going to get very many minutes. And so it kind of feels like you're going to be mad no matter what. Not you specifically, but the
there's
general.
There's gonna be some team's fan base was
right.
Like, wait, how is our best player not playing for this team?
Because there's 10, 12 other Hall of Famers.
I get it. You got to feed people minutes. It just, to me, the fact that Tatum is getting 5.5 minutes a game after coming off arguably one of the
the zeros
is weird. I do wonder though, Tatum's obviously coming off of some really deep playoff runs, including winning a title with the Celtics this last year. I wonder if there's something to the idea of maybe Tatum is telling us if you can relax my minutes a little bit, I'm cool with that, because I'm sure the Celtics don't want him running 35 minutes in every Olympic game and then having a shortened off season and coming back to the Celtics after a long postseason.
I mean, if that's a conversation that the Celtics, Tatum, and Kerr had, then fine. But I don't think that happened.
All right, Sean, your worst person?
I think some of it's just Kerr's don't really love the way he played, because he doesn't really play
just hates Boston.
Warriors ball. Trying to blow up the Celtics from the inside. Worst person in sports, the Americans out there that found themselves rooting against Team USA in the Serbia
I don't even want to
game.
say his name, but the guy that runs Barstool.
Yes, yeah.
That tool.
The people that are rooting
Ugh.
against America.
Oh, they didn't play. This is not a shot at you, Cam. I promise. Oh, they didn't play Jason Tatum. I'm going to root for France.
No, see,
Like, how does them
that's
sitting your-
idiotic.
how does them sitting a favorite player of yours like get you to the point of wanting to root for France?
Yeah, turning your back on your country.
Ugh, the
Hey,
French.
You know what? You know what? These colors don't run, but Dave Portnoy does.
Yeah, these
Coward.
colors do not run.
Coward.
I've often said that.
All right, we're done with the anger sharks for this week. Done with the worst people in sports this week. So, deep breath, everyone. We got a few minutes left in the show. Let's go ahead and doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility, inner peace. Cam is finding his some serenity right now, I believe. Let's talk about the things we love from sports this week. I'll go ahead and go first. After Cody Rhodes fat shamed, a big section of America, pun intended. Let's hear from Ozzie Guillen, who had a very good point about something baseball players could do to stop getting hurt so much.
Running the bases.
Running the bases. Everything is about legs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I always say, John Kruk say, fat, never pull.
You can't pull fat.
Nope. All those eat right. Be careful what you eat. Don't eat cheeseburger. Here's the nah, man. I remember those guys go here drinking 2, 6, 7, 12 Budweiser. Give me 3 hamburger and go get it, boys.
Didn't go on the injured list.
And they play all year long.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's very confusing.
Damn right, Ozzie Guillen. Screw this fitness that Cody Rhodes talking about working out since he was 14. Go have 6 Budweiser, 3 cheeseburger, and then you play all season long, never miss a game. Damn right, Ozzie Guillen.
They were smoking cigs in the bullpen back in the day.
Yeah, Ozzie was quoting John Kruk, but fat don't pull. That's right. Don't worry about getting in shape in the offseason. Come into training camp fat.
Look at
don't
Babe
worry
Ruth.
about it. Yeah.
Babe Ruth was pushing like 290 and
There
was
you
still
go.
slugging 50 homers a year.
Yeah. All right, guys. What do you love from sports this week?
I'm gonna go actually with Kikuchi. I love that he's actually proving me wrong.
There was a momentary pause there when you said Kikuchi's like, okay, is he doing a John Lance bit?
No.
Where's this
You
going?
say Kikuchi.
You say Kikuchi.
and his pitching performance.
Yeah,
His pitching
I
performance.
criticized
You love
the trade,
Kikuchi.
and yes.
That's where I was afraid it was going.
No.
I think Cam is just now getting it.
I'm getting it.
Sean, save us. We got about a minute left. What is the thing you love from sports? this
Jalen
week?
Hurts and the NFL officially putting the world on notice that flag football is coming to the 2028 Olympic Games. USA! USA! Good luck, Bulgaria, guarding Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. Good luck. Good luck, Estonia.
Man, Bulgaria and Estonia, like these Eastern Bloc countries catching strays on the way out.
Hey, Serbia almost got us in basketball. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck trying to, I guess, not tackle, but take the flag from Christian McCaffrey.
Ain't gonna happen. USA
Losers.
by 100.
USA.
Oh, yeah.
USA. USA. That'll do it for the bullpen this week. These colors don't run, but bullpen will be back next week. Grab a great weekend, Houston. See you next week. Peace.